I get started with this video, I wanted to give a quick shout out to all of the members of Krypton Nation, everybody who has subscribed to my channel, who has watched my videos, who has put up with me for these 2 to 3 years that I've been doing this shit. I recently just passed 800 plus subscribers, and that's kind of a big deal to me because I'm really close to 1,000 subs now, and I'm gonna keep pushing until I get there. I feel like this is a victory for us as a group because I love you guys, and I really appreciate you guys giving me this platform to share my opinions and to, you know, be corny and be funny and all those things and embarrass myself on camera. So again, just wanted to thank all of you guys. I wanted to say, if you have a question that you want to give me, please put it in the comment section of this video. I am going to be doing a Q&A video later on this week celebrating the 800 subs, and if you have anything interesting that you'd like to ask, just put it down there. I will give you a shout out in the Q&A video when I answer your question. For the love of God, try to go easy on me. I mean, sure, nothing's off limits or anything. You can ask me whatever, but just be gentle. Is that too much to ask? Just be gentle. I am nearly caught up on all the videos that I did not get a chance to review while I was away from the channel. I have reviews coming out for Toy Story 4, Child's Play, and another movie that I'm not going to tell you about yet. Just bear with me. This is the last video that I'm going to be doing before I am completely caught up. All the other videos are already shot and edited, so we're doing good. Under the Silver Lake is a film that came out in limited release earlier this year. It stars Andrew Garfield, Riley Keough, Topher Grace. It's directed by David Robert Mitchell, I'm pretty sure is his name. This is a story that takes place in Los Angeles. It follows a character named Sam, who is played by Andrew Garfield. He's kind of a 30-something-year-old who does nothing pretty much. He's kind of just moping his way through life, and then all of a sudden one day he sees his neighbor in the pool at his apartment complex, goes to meet her. She's a really beautiful girl. She's played by Riley Keough. They strike up something of a bond or a friendship or something like that, and then all of a sudden she like disappears and she's like gone. She drops off the face of the earth in the middle of the night. So Andrew Garfield's character, because he has nothing better to do with his life as a 30-year-old man living in Los Angeles, decides to track her down. He decides to do everything in his power to try to figure out what the hell happened to this girl, where she went, and, you know, stuff like that. While he's trying to figure out what happened to her, he stumbles across a whole bunch of huge conspiracies and subliminal things that he didn't know was there, and so it creates this big noir mystery kind of film. I heard that this movie was very divisive. I otherwise did not know anything about the movie other than the fact that Andrew Garfield was in it, so I was somewhat sort of excited to see it. I mean, it looked kind of interesting based on the trailer. The movie definitely threw me for a loop. I did not expect this movie to go the way that it went. I didn't expect the story to unravel, or I guess to go down the path that it was going. Like, this movie took me down the rabbit hole for sure. There's something very ambitious and wild and unconventional and weird about this movie. Everything from the way that it was shot to the music that it uses, the way that it's directed, the characters in the movie, like everything about it is just kind of this larger than life type of thing. In fact, a lot of the movie feels like stuff is happening like it would happen if you were high and you were seeing shit. There is a heavy sense of paranoia with this movie. There's a heavy sense of subliminal messages, conspiracy theories. This movie has a lot of themes and a lot of things that it wants to say about Hollywood and consumerism and sexism and the male gaze and stuff like that. You know, stuff that you see in movies all the time, stuff that you see in pop culture all the time. While this movie does have some stuff to say about all of that, I would say the real strength of this movie comes from its technical mastery. I would say David Robert Mitchell did such an outstanding job with the direction for this movie. He directs the shit out of it. He shoots the shit out of it. Everything about this movie from a technical standpoint, it's just, it's the tits. Cinematography for this movie is very beautiful, very colorful. I love the color palette. I love the lighting. At times, it kind of like how Blind Spotting was like a love letter to Oakland. This movie at times feels like a love letter to LA. I also praise the music in this movie. The music is kind of old school. It feels like music from like those old serial movies or like movies that are like black and white, you know, back in the day. Like, it feels ancient when you're listening to it, but then you're listening to the music and you're like, holy shit, I can vibe with this a little bit, you know? Andrew Garfield's performance, I mean, he's Spider-Man, obviously, to me and to a lot of other people who unfortunately are never going to see that Amazing Spider-Man 3 movie, although there's a possibility they could bring him back in the Venomverse. Fingers crossed, bring Andrew back. All of that aside, I think Andrew Garfield is an incredibly talented actor when he puts his mind to it, and I think in this movie, he puts his mind to it. Like, he Professor Xavier's the shit in terms of putting his mind to it. Really good in this movie. He's very captivating, despite the fact that his character walks around through half the movie almost like he's sleepwalking. The way that he plays this guy, the screen presence that he has, he makes you want to see him. I'm not gonna lie, for like the first act or so of this movie, I was swept up in the mystery of it. I was swept up in where this girl went and what Andrew Garfield was discovering, and it is one of those movies where there's a lot of detail that's woven into the narrative that you're gonna have to pay attention to, otherwise some things could go over your head. I'm not gonna lie though, there are were definitely a few times while watching this movie that I was just kind of sitting there and I was just lost. Like, I was just like, what the hell am I watching? What is this? What are we doing here? What? While I do understand the craftsmanship that was put into this movie and how technically well made it is, I gotta say, as a story, as a narrative, I didn't find it all that engaging. The problem with this movie is how overdrawn and convoluted that it eventually becomes. Like, you're kind of following the mystery, the way that it's set up, and then the structure just kind of breaks into a bunch of little tiny acts. Some sections are gonna make more sense than others, and some sections you're gonna care about, some sections you're not really gonna care about. Pay attention to all of it, because again, there's a detail here or there that you could lose, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like the themes that this movie was trying to get across were executed or hammered home as well as the movie wanted it to be. It was just hard to really grab me back in. It was hard to get me engaged in the other parts of the movie. Like, the first parts of the movie, I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting, this is intriguing. I just found myself going, what? Why? Who? What the hell? And so many times in the second half of this movie that I just feel like by the end of it, I just had no real emotional connection to what was going on. Somewhat interesting movie that's really well made, but it's not a movie that I can bring myself to try to watch again, even though I do respect the ambition that was involved in trying to tell this story. So while Under the Silver Lake was a solid, entertaining, well-made movie, I would probably say it's just above average. I'm putting it in the golden age for Man of Steel. Put whatever question you want to ask me about life, movies, my thoughts, my opinions, whatever you want to ask, put it in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer your question in that Q&A later on in the week. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.